Uh, when did you know that you wanted to be a teacher?
Wow. Probably in high school, I guess. And it was more I wanted to be a coach than wanted to be a teacher. And I knew if was going to coach, I'd have to teach. That would be the way to make money. So I knew it was kind of hand in hand, and really a coach is just a teacher anyway. So probably high school.
Yeah, that answers another question too, because I also had, why would a teacher also coach? Because I know a lot of them also go for after school stuff like track and other things.
Sure. And usually most coaches teach because that's where you coach at.
Yeah. When you wanted to become a teacher, like were you at a different job or were you in a different career?
No, I've always done this.
Really?
I've always had summers off.
When did you want to become one? Like, when did you figure out that you wanted to be a teacher?
Well, like I said, it was probably in high school. I had a couple of teachers in high school that probably had a lot to do with me deciding that's what I wanted to do. Probably, I had a coach in high school that's when I decided I wanted to coach, and then I played college athletics, and that kind of led down that road, and went from that to coaching when I got finished.
What kind of education did you need, like for degrees and certificates?
Let's see, I've got obviously a high school diploma. I grew up in Canada, so it's a little different there than here.
Yeah.
High school diploma, I've got a bachelor's degree in physical education, and I've got a master's degree in education.
What about for the history part? Did you have to take anything?
I had a minor in history in college,
Okay.
So that's where the history part came in. When I started teaching PE.
Really?
But then I was kind of given some history classes, which I'd asked for, and I just liked teaching history much better than I liked teaching PE, so I kind of got into teaching history and been doing it now for a long time.
Did you have to find a certain college? Was it private or public, or did it mainly focus on education degrees?
I went to a really big school. I went to a school in Canada, the University of Calgary, and it was a big school like Florida. It had 25,000 students.
Okay.
So it had everything. I think my PE degree, I graduated probably with 80 or 100 other people that came out with a PE degree at the same time.
So how long have you been teaching now?
I started in 86.
Oh man, that's a long time.
So it's been a long time. Yeah, there was 10 years there when I was just coaching.
Yeah.
I coached college basketball for 10 years. Kind of in the middle. I coached and taught in high school, then I went to college and just coached. I didn't have to teach any classes. And then since 2001, I've been coaching and teaching in high school. So.
What's your least favorite part about teaching?
Grading.
Really?
Yeah, always grading.
Is there a lot throughout all the classes?
Yeah, there is.
What's your most favorite part about teaching?
The kids.
Really?
Yeah, being around kids.
Now, a lot of teachers usually travel or they get summer jobs. What do you do over the summer?
I've done both. I've really kind of, again, usually it was coaching because I've only stopped coaching a couple of years ago. So I'm still kind of figuring out what to do in the summer times now. Because I was always coaching. But this summer is I've got a couple of things planned as far as doing some traveling and education at the same time. I'm going to a couple of kind of workshops, I guess is what they are, really.
Okay.
I'm going to Gettysburg for one, which is really going to be kind of cool. So I'll be traipsing around the battlefields at Gettysburg.
Oh, that'd be fun.
So that'll be really kind of neat, yeah.
Plus, it'll help with like lesson plans.
Exactly. That's the whole idea, right? So
yeah, this
kind of combine two things, so it'll be good.
Yeah, this kind of goes with the summer thing. Do you think that you're underpaid, like teachers in general?
Are teachers underpaid? Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because the whole
underpaid and undervalued.
Yeah, the undervalued thing usually goes around on the news, and that kind of goes in with like over the summer because most teachers don't get paid for the 3 months that they're off.
Well, that's everybody says, well, teachers get paid less than everybody else because they only work, 9 months or 10 months a year. And I guess there's something to that argument to a certain degree, but, again, I just think when you think of the importance that people place on sending their kids to school every day and putting them in the hands of a teacher, I just think they'd be better compensated than what they are, but they're not, and that's something going into the job too. You're not teaching to make a ton of money. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. What was your first year of teaching like?
Oh,
and how old were you?
That's a long time ago, man. How old was I? I was 24 years old. And I was in Canada at a high school, teaching physical education and coaching 3 sports. I coached football, basketball, and rugby.
They had rugby in Canada?
Yeah, we have rugby in the summer. In the spring, instead of, the season in the spring is so short because the winter's so long.
Yeah.
That you can't do baseball. You just can't. It's too short. So you can play rugby in the snow. So we played rugby.
And that must have hurt hitting the ground.
Yeah, at times it would. Yeah, it was miserable at times, but it was fun.
Was that the first school that you started at? Was the high school in Calgary?
Yep, Western Canada High School.
Did you like it there?
I taught there for 6 years. I liked it there a lot. The people there were really good. The administration was good. We had a really good school. And I left there to come to the United States and coach basketball.
Do you think that the job of being a teacher is secure, that you won't get fired easily?
Yeah, I think that's changing a little bit. Education is kind of moving away from tenure and that kind of thing. But for old fossils like me, yeah, we're pretty much here. It's pretty hard to get rid of us, I think.
Even after for new beginners,
it's different for them.
Okay.
Yeah, people that are coming into the field now, they're coming into a much different job than I came into. The great things about teaching when I first got into it was the idea of tenure, and you could kind of settle into a job and kind of count on doing that for a long time, and you get a good retirement, and that was appealing, and there was real stability in being a teacher. Those days are gone. That's changing.
Yeah.
It's a different world when new people come into it.
Have you ever thought about quitting teaching?
I guess there's been a couple of times when I thought, maybe I need to do something where I'm going to make some more money. And there was, like I said, there was 10 years there where I didn't teach, that I just coached college basketball. And I really enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun, but there were some drawbacks to doing that too. It was 200 days a year being away from home was a lot. So
yeah, that's a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah, there was. There was unless you're at really high levels making a ton of money, it's a job that is not a long-term job.
Yeah. How many schools have you worked at?
Cool. Counting colleges and schools, let me see, 1, 2, probably 8 or 9. It's been a few. It's been quite a few.
Is that normal for most teachers?
I don't know. There's different normals. There's teachers around here that have been at this school for 20, 30 years.
Since the old building.
Yeah, there are. It's like any job. I guess you go some places, there's been people that have been there forever, and there's people that move around. So.
Being a first-time teacher, do you think it's hard getting the confidence and authority, patting down with the kids? Because being a young teacher at 24, do you think it'd be hard to get the respect from them?
Yeah, that's kind of part of the whole culture of teaching. It seems like when you start out, you kind of get thrown to the wolves, right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of it's kind of funny, but for some reason, new teachers tend to get the most challenging classes. They tend to get the most challenging kids, and they're kind of just tossed in there and to see if they sink or swim. And those that swim stick around, and those that sink kind of work their way out of teaching, it seems like. That's kind of how at least that's been my experience. That's what I kind of see happening, is it's that sink or swim mentality. They throw you to the wolves and see if you survive.
How difficult or easy do you think that being a teacher is to you?
To me, well, it's second nature. I've been doing it for so long that it's kind of like,
It just goes.
It just goes, yeah. I just kind of show up, and I've done it so many times that, okay, here's what I do, and we do this, here's what I do, and do this. you know, you got to kind of try and change things up from year to year to keep it fresh a little bit, but that's what keeps it interesting too.
Yeah.
So you try different things and see if this works and that works, and you know, like I said, when you've been doing it for as long as I have, you've always got things you can fall back on because you know they work, but you're always willing to try new things too to see what happens.
Yeah. Will you ever miss teaching if you retire?
Well, if I retire, that's a good question. Damn, I don't know. Being a teacher, it's hard to retire.
Yeah.
Need to keep working and make money, but yeah, of course, I would expect so. You know.
Yeah. And then the last question: how have you and the students changed from when you first started teaching to now?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm sure I've changed because, like you said, you get a little bit more smarter. You've seen a lot of things happen. You know, I will say that there's still some things that happen that I go, wow, I've never seen that before, even after as long as I've been teaching. But most things that happen I've kind of seen. So I guess you kind of change just with experience. Kids have definitely changed. And I think maybe it's not so much kids have changed. I think parents have changed. I think parents' view of what teachers do has changed, or what they should do has changed. I think the responsibility taken by parents is changed. I think it's in a lot of cases less than it is, or less than it has been, and less than it should be. I think that the view of teachers has changed. There was a time, certainly when I first started teaching, and even when I was a student, when I was a kid, where the teacher was like a parent, or more than a parent. They were a bigger authority figure than a parent was. So it was kind of like whatever the teacher said was gospel.
Yeah.
It's certainly not that way anymore. So from that aspect, I think it has changed. It's a lot more challenging to teach now than it was when I first started, that's for sure.
Harder to like get their attention, or to get...
Well, I think there's some of that too, yeah, sure. There's a lot more distractions for kids now too, right? I mean, you've got that thing in your hand right there, which is, I mean, certainly didn't exist 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And that can be a tremendous tool. It can also be a tremendous distraction. So,
yeah.
Depending on how it's used, and that was never an issue when I was a kid, obviously. So certainly that technology has certainly changed things too. And like I said, depending on how you embrace it, it can be good, it can be bad.
Like with active boards, I've never really seen them until I moved here.
Yeah.
They always just use whiteboards
Yeah.
and projectors. So, I mean, that's
Huge
different for me.
right? Can you imagine when I was a kid, 40 years ago?
Yeah.
The thought of an
Probably
active
not.
board never even crossed your mind, right? Because you had a blackboard, and you had we had film strips, and we had overheads. And now, I mean, it's incredible, right? So, again, depending on how you use it, it can be really, really good. So, yeah, that's changed too, for sure.
That's